So here I am in field service. I am on the resources tab and I've selected resources in the resource group. Now, first off, let's just have a quick look at the types of resources that you can set up. If I go and click on new, you'll see here under resource type, if I click the drop down there, I've got quite a number of resources that I can go and set up. So a user is, of course, a licensed field service user that becomes a resource. So just we'll have a look at that in a moment. But when you set up a user as a field service resource, remember that there's two records that represent that user. The user record in Dynamics 365 or in Power Platform, and then the bookable resource record, which is what we are going to set up for this user right now. So that's a user. Then you've got contacts. That is a field service contact or Dynamics 365 contact. You have a account record that you can set up. Now in both of those cases, we are looking at a resource that represents a customer that I'm doing work for. Then I've got equipment, which is just that. It is equipment that I can go and schedule. A crew would be a combination of resources that are required to get work done. A facility is a place where the work is going to get done. A pool, we'll get into that in a later lesson, just exploring exactly what that is. But that's where I want to create capacity for me to go and schedule work, but at a later stage, closer to the date, swap the resources out with actual resources. Then I also have a generic resource that I can use as a placeholder for work that I want to book. So those are them. We're going to look at how to set up a user resource. The first thing that I need to ensure when I'm setting up a user bookable resource is, of course, that the user exists. So in my Microsoft 365 Admin Center, I would need to go and add a user or just ensure that I do have a user available to work with. Then secondly, once I've done that, I'll go through to the Power Platform Admin Center, go into the particular environment. So on environments, I'll make sure that I go through to the particular environment and then just go and assign the required roles to that user. So in this case here, I'm going to go and click on users, see all users. Then I'm looking for Mpoya, don't have him yet, so I'm going to click on add user, go and do a search. There we go. That's the user that I'm looking for. Add the user, and then in the process of adding the user to the environment, I'll be prompted to assign the applicable security roles. Now in this case, we are going to look at field service security roles for this user. Here we go. So here I'm going to add for this user a field service resource role. That's basically what I need for this particular user. Once I've done that, I'm going to click on save. There we go. So my user's added. Now, next step is then to go back to my resources in field service. I'm going to click on new here at the top. I'm setting up a user resource. Remember that I've got a choice of resources there, but in this case, my type is a user, and I'm going to do a search for Mpo. There we go. So my user pulls through from Active Directory. It picks up the name for Mpo here, so that's fine. I need to select a time zone, so I'm just going to stick to my time zone that I have here, Pretoria. There we go. Then once I have that, I need to go and capture a home address for Mpo. Now the home address is essential if I need to go and schedule this resource from the home address. So I've got choices. Either I can schedule from the organizational address, organizational unit address, or from the resource address. So I just need to make sure that I do have a valid address. And in this case, you'll see that because I've set up geocoding already, it goes and it geocodes that address for me. So I have the ability. It's essential that the address is geocoded if I want to schedule from this address. So I have at the moment, I've got the choice to schedule from this this address. Okay, once I've done that, I'm going to click on save. It'll add the resource or complete the addition of the resource record for me. Then I go through to the field service tab. On the field service tab, primary thing that I want to do here is to connect that resource to a warehouse. So I'm going to assign port to truck 1. I then have the ability to set up drip scheduling if I want them to only be able to see the next booking, not the entire set of bookings for the day. We're going to stick to just no, so we're not doing drip scheduling. On the time off approval required, there is a process for requesting time off. So if I want to include an approval process there, which I most likely would like to do, I just simply go and select yes, and that will then block out that time that's been requested once it's approved. Enable for field service mobile. This is not applicable for us anymore because you're using the Microsoft mobile application, so that's fine. Then we move on to the scheduling tab. On the scheduling tab, this is what I was talking about, your routing. So from start location to end location, we are going to opt for the organizational unit address here. We're just going to go for the organizational unit address, both start and end location. That, of course, sets the requirement that all work on a day starts from the organizational unit, from the head office or the regional office, wherever this resource is based, and ends at that location as well. Of course, if that's not the case, because we have set up the resource address, you have the ability to go and schedule from the resource address. We're going to stick to the organizational unit there. Of course, then on the right hand side, we need to go and select the applicable organizational unit. So here we have, let's just see here quickly. Yep. So in this case, I've set this one up as Contoso head office. So Paul will be scheduled from the Contoso head office. Below that, display on the schedule board. Yes, we do want this resource on the schedule board. And enable for availability search. Yes, we do want to be able to search this resource. Omnichannel, the setup for omnichannel and for project service obviously belongs to different lessons. So we'll get into that. And then work hours, we'll go and set work hours in a moment because I have that calendar already set up. Okay, so we done with this. We're going to click on save and close. I'm then just going to apply those work hours. So I'm going to select my resource here, import, and once I have that updated, I'm going to click on set calendar. I'm going to select the applicable calendar here. In this case, we've got field service work hours. Click on apply, and my resource is almost ready to start working. There's a couple of other things that I need to do, and we'll get into that in the next session. In setting up the user bookable resource, there's two more things that we need to do in order to complete that process. Add skills to the resource so that the right resources can be picked for the right jobs, and then also go and assign them to territories for exactly the same reason, so that the closest resource can attend to the work orders or the jobs in the work order. So let's go and have a look at the skills. I'm just going to look for my resource here. I'm going to open up that resource. Then adding the resource to territory, we go and click here on related, and then we go and look for the option called resource territories. There we go. In resource territories, we click on new resource territory. You'll note that this resource is already a member of a territory, so resources can be members of multiple territories. I'm just going to click on that. Then we go and select the territory. I'm just going to select Africa here. And we click on save and close, and it really is as simple as that. Of course, you do need to go and set up territories first. That you do on field service settings. You'll see there I've got an option for territories. Very simple to go and capture a territory. You can also set up parent and child territories. Okay, next step is then to go and add skills to the resource. Now, as far as the skills are concerned, there's a couple of places where I can do it. I can capture on project service, on omnichannel, or on field service. Now, because we are working with field service here, we are going to capture it from there. So on the field service tab, we go to characteristics. Characteristics and skills refer to the same thing. It is the capabilities or abilities or certifications that a resource holds. So here we go and click on new bookable resource characteristic. In this case, I'm going to take you through the process of capturing something that does not exist yet. So we're going to go to skill name and go and click on new characteristic. Now you can edit the sitemap. It'll make it a lot simpler for you to add the skills prior to this process, but in this case you can also follow through and just capture it in this way. So we're going to click on new characteristic there. So I have a characteristic here, coffee machine setup. I'm just going to copy that description there. This is a skill, not a certification. Depends, it might be a certification as well. So we're just going to do that. I'm going to click on save and close. And of course, once I have completed this process, that skill is available to assign to other resources. So I've got coffee machine setup here. You can also add a rating value that will indicate how proficient this resource is in completing this particular job. So let's select proficient here and we click on save and close. And of course, like I say, that is then available to add to other resources. So if I go to resources here and I go and pick up Mpho, there we go, pick up Mpho here, and I go to field service, go to characteristics and click on new bookable resource. I go and click on coffee machine setup. You'll see it's available already. I can add that skill set here. And there we go. At this point, you have resources that are fully equipped to be used on work orders and of course to be filtered out by the scheduling assistant on the schedule board.